Coach, another long week. You enjoying having these extra practices to really get the team where you want them in preparations for Utah? For Washington now.
Well, I think for our staff, it's really good. You get a little bit of time to get ahead, and so you can kind of do the system we do, which is still practice as fast as we can, and then go back and relook at things and sometimes change some things. And so it allows us to be ahead. For instance, yesterday was our Tuesday practice, even though yesterday was Sunday.
Whether it's Josh Shaw or Marquise Lee, you feel like that corner spot is the one area that you're close to being an elite defense if you could just get that shored up?
Well, that has been showing up, and I think that's a product of Nickel also. People not wanting to throw at him, and so a lot of balls go away from him to the other side. And unfortunately, we've not been producing over there the way that we would like. And so I think you're right. If there's one glaring spot on defense where the production has not been at a high level, that would be it.
If you went back a couple of years and Marquise Lee ended up being a corner here, how good could he be at that spot?
Well, he'd be a great player no matter what he'd play. He could be a great free safety, too, because of his ball skills back there. We just wish we had two of them.
Yeah, is that the issue that you don't want to take away from him being a wide receiver?
Yeah, he basically plays every snap for us on offense right now, and so if we start playing him on defense, some snaps got to come off somewhere. I don't think that somebody can play that many snaps. And the problem is if we take him off the snaps on offense, he's such a issue for defenses that they play different coverages when he's in there, and so it helps our other receivers. It helps our run game when he's in there, even if we're not throwing to him.
When you look back at that Utah game, Star Lotulelei, everyone talked about him going in. The first 10 minutes, he was everywhere, it seemed like, and then you quieted him down. How'd you do it?
Well, I think that our players executed the plan really well. If you look at the impact plays early that he had, really one of them we didn't block him at all. We called a wrong play, and we got screwed up at line of scrimmage. For his tackle for loss. And the snap issue was just called a little bit out of whack. So I thought once we settled down in general, we ran away from him a lot of the game and not towards him because he is such a great player. I thought our guys did a pretty good job.
As you got into that game, second, third, fourth quarters, penalties slowed you down a little bit, but did you feel like the offensive rhythm was as good as it's been this season?
I did feel that. If you look at, I think, after those first two series with the center issues, the next 7 series of the game, I think 6 of those 7, we score touchdowns or attempt field goals. And so you're going to score a lot of points, win a lot of games that way. So I did feel like there was a good rhythm there.
Down 14-0, the team didn't panic. They came together. Can you look on this as potentially a turning point for the season as you had a couple sort of around this point last year?
I hope so. I think that game was probably the best thing that could happen to us. Not at the time we didn't like it, but to have all that happen and then still be able to win and actually come back and get a pretty comfortable lead in the fourth quarter showed a lot for our players and forces them to come together because you're in an environment where you have nobody else but yourself. And so it was really good to see, and it was really good to see, as you mentioned, our players not panic. You could see the body language of Matt Barkley, of Robert Woods, Marquise Lee, even when we were down 14-0.
Just like Utah, is it hard for part of a college football coach's job to explain to players the difference between the way a team plays at home and the way they play on the road? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people saw Washington play against Oregon, but they're a different team, obviously, in Seattle.
Yeah, they are, and they've been that way for years, and a lot of that has to do with their home field advantage. Their crowd's great, regardless of which stadium that they're in. Now they're in an even louder stadium than their normal Husky stadium, so we're going to have our hands full. Always a big game for them, and so I'm sure it'll be sold out. I'm sure it'll be rocking.
How has their defensive scheme changed under Justin Wilcox?
A lot. Very different what they do. Very multiple, a lot of different looks. They played a lot of different players with different ideas about what they're going to do with those guys, and they seem to change each week by who they're playing.
Coach Sarkisian said today that he knows you hate when he says it, but he says USC is the most talented team in the conference. Where does Washington rank in terms of athletic talent to match you?
Well, he says that every year, so he's just going to say that no matter what. They're extremely talented. They got some great young players on defense. They're doing a good job of playing them, too. They're forcing them in there early in their career, and they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, talk about the quarterback for one. You said you hadn't faced a lot of top quarterbacks this year. Is this maybe the best one you've seen so far?
Yeah, this will be. Very dynamic playmaker, especially at home. When he's healthy, you look at the end of the last year when he was healthy, he was playing great. And so we're going to have our hands full.
They have a big tight end, too, in Safarian Jenkins. When you downsized your defense, does this help too? Helping to cover tight ends when you have linebackers like Deion Bailey, who obviously has a lot of coverage experience?
Yeah, I hope so, and that showed up a little bit this year already. Deion making some plays, as he did in Stanford, on the ball, and so we're going to need that, because Austin's a great player.
How similar is Sark's offense to yours, or has both of yours changed a lot over the years?
It's not really similar anymore. We haven't changed much here in what we do. We're very similar to what we used to do, and he's really completely changed. He's really mostly a shotgun guy and moves around more and does more spread type of stuff.
Will you talk to Sark at all this week? Do you still enjoy going up against his teams?
Yeah, we don't talk quite as much on game week as we normally do, but I'm sure we still will a little bit.
Do you sort of see this as if you can get through this stretch, all of a sudden you have all those home games and LA games? Is this a real sort of breaking point in the season? If you can get through this at sort of that halfway point?
I think there is that feeling because it is such a unique schedule. To be put on the road 4 times in your first 6 games, including the East Coast trip, is very unusual. But the other side of that is, if you're able to play well in this game and get a win in this game, you get back on that plane knowing that you're coming back to LA for 5 of the next 6 games.
All right, big week of practice ahead, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Seattle. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Jordan.